Hi, good evening, and welcome everyone. Welcome to Reality Speaks TV. I am Sparkle Denise, and I'm here with my co-host Yakarius. We are
Peace,
really glad.
peace.
We're really glad to have you here tonight. Tonight's conversation is called AI, Power, and Humanity. A real conversation about future. This is not a tech class. Yakarius, we not here for the hype. It's a human conversation about what artificial intelligence actually means for everyday people, our lives, our work, our creativity, and our future. So, we're streaming live now on YouTube and LinkedIn. So, if you're watching, please use the comment section. Today is Sunday, February 15, 2026. Feel free to share your thoughts, ask questions. We want this to be a conversation, not a lecture, right, y'all carriers?
That's correct.
So AI isn't something that's coming someday. It's already here. Y'all carriers. It's in our phones. It's in our social media. It's in our navigation apps. And even in how content gets shown to us. So tonight we're asking simple but important questions about power, responsibility, and most of all, humanity. So the question of what is AI, I'm going to let you answer that.
Okay. I'm also known as Kamal. You can catch me on my Facebook page. My name is Kamal Fardan, and I go by your carriers. AI is artificial intelligence. That's what the A stands for artificial, and the I stands for intelligence. And there is a lot of controversy about this artificial intelligence. There's a lot of fear. Some of it is founded, some of it is unfounded. I myself am a novice, but I use it daily. I use it daily, and I'm a novice. I don't claim, I will say right now, I don't claim to know everything about it or a lot about it. And this show is forcing me to explore. I also want to say that I'm also live on TikTok. This is something new for me. I'm not going to be able to address it because I'm also live here on StreamYard for those of you watching me on TikTok. Um, but did that answer your question?
Yes, it pretty much did answer my question. I just wanted to add on that, you know, so basically AI is a tool, right? And I'm glad that you are using it because even if you're a novice, pretty much not trying to, bring age into it, but it can pretty much play a factor. So the fact that you are a man of a certain age who is actually using AI on any level, it is needs to be celebrated because let me tell you, people that I've been talking to, you even bring up the AI, it's like they think that we're going to transform right in before your eyes. It's just like so much misinformation. So I just wanted to take the opportunity to say that I'm actually impressed by the fact that you, as the person that you are, to actually use it. So let's start simple, yeah, carriers. When people hear AI, they often think about robots or scientific or sci-fi movies, something that they can't explain. In plain language, what is AI really, and where are people using it without them realizing it? Like I mentioned earlier, navigation systems. That's what I learned as I was doing some research for this. That um, it makes sense. So if AI is basically a tool that learns from data and patterns, that also means it's not neutral. It reflects who builds it, who funds it, and who controls it. That's the question or the perspective that people are concerned about. Who is actually feeding AI? Where is this information coming from? Is it safe? Is it true? What do you think about that? Like people's fear of using AI technology.
Well, you just asked me five questions just for the record, right? And it's a very difficult topic because, like I said, I'm a novice. So you ask me who's using it, who's the source, where's it coming from. Those are some questions I would like to know the answer to. But I could tell you what I do know. It is present today. Let's begin with what I know. Today, if you get an updated laptop or iPhone, for example, the iPhone 17 is coming with AI features. The brand new Max is coming in with AI features. They're not asking you if you have a choice. If you buy a up to date, the latest Mac or iPhone, it's going to come with the AI feature. And when you upgrade your operating system, you're gonna have, if you Google something, even Google is using it. If you Google something, there's no more. AI is going to also give you an answer before it even gives you the Google answer. So we're pretty much being forced to use AI against our will, against the choice that we may think we have, even if we're using our phone and using the Google services. Um, it's also when you answer the phone, when you hear a chat bot talking to you, that's artificial intelligence. Most of these companies are not using human operators anymore. This is what I know. They're trying to force you to engage the chat bots, as they call them, with human voices to help you with whatever matter you have. If you call a business or a company trying to solve a problem, and they're going to try to encourage you to use the chatbot before they connect you with a human operator. So the idea that they're replacing jobs may have some credibility to it. Um, and even these self-driving cars now have is based on artificial intelligence. If you see a car driving itself, or even if you have a Tesla and it can park itself, um, and if you have the function in your car that you can drive it and or have it drive by itself, that is artificial intelligence. So it is in it's in your hands, it's in your fingertips, whether you realize it or not. And I don't want to go on and on. That's the basis of what I know without knowing where is it coming from. Okay, we got it. He's right. Thank you. Hi, Heather.
Hi, Heather. Thanks for watching.
You can join. We can send you a link to come on the show if you want.
Come
Just say
on, Heather.
it's only two of us if you feel so bold. But anyway, did that answer your question a little bit though?
Well, yeah, I think you answered like five questions, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
so
Yeah.
you know when you mentioned that you're a novice, it's so for myself, I think it's a very beautiful tool for someone who has a neurodivergent mind. What
Mm-hmm.
I mean is, a tool like the most popular platform, ChatGPT, for example, it helps you organize. It helps me put things into context. It helps me articulate my point. And another thing that I wanted to say about AI is pretty much everywhere. We'll talk about that more in a minute, but I just wanted to talk about the reason why I wanted to talk about this topic. I thought it was important because people like myself, who is on an autistic spectrum, highly functional, might have some neurodivergent diagnosis like ADHD or anything like that. This is a wonderful tool to help guide us through this realm. I'll say that because society and the way people communicate are different. So I feel like AI helps align with understanding and comprehension. And another thing I wanted to say, because a lot of people feel like ChatGPT is cheating or a lot of these apps are cheating, but I don't think so because you still have to feed it information. You still have to build a narrative for it. You still need to know the proper prompts to use. The prompts means what words, what context, or what keywords are you going to give it in order for it to supply you with more information that you can either add or subtract. So it's pretty much like I like to say, like Google on steroids for me, but we're going to explore more, just like you said, Kamal, using it in everyday ways. um so like I mentioned earlier, it's a regular conversation, and I just wanted to put things into perspective for us about AI. So, when you hear the words artificial intelligence, right there, artificial, something that's not real, right? And then we often think about like robots, like I mentioned, but I would like us to think about it like a software or a computer program, maybe, and it's trained by a lot of data, and its AI is able to recognize patterns. You know, it makes predictions or generate things like text, images, or recommendations. So it's used a lot in marketing. So, in simple terms, AI is not a mind, right? It doesn't think or feel like a human. It doesn't have wisdom or values. It's a tool that copies patterns from information that humans give it. Hence, when I said when you have to have the right prompts, you have to still give it something. It's just not going to go off of thin air, right? Well, pun intended, a cloud perhaps. So, yeah, Karis, the next question that I have for you is from your personal perspective as someone who is learning in real time. Um, how do you understand what AI is now and how it's showing up in your life every day? How you see it? How do you see it maybe 5 years from now?
I'm going to suggest because you said some things. I would like to have a free flow conversation because you're making comments that I want to respond to, and then you're asking me a question. You have a bunch of guests here. I think we should have a free flow conversation without. We could use them as a basis, but I want to back up to some things that you said, and I think it's important. For example, you mentioned Chat GPT. What is that? We have a listening audience, and many people in the audience may not know what that is. So, what is Chat GPT?
You asking me what is ChatGPT?
Yes, yes, because I
Oh,
don't.
okay.
We have to tell the audience what that is.
Do you know what it is? Maybe you can tell the audience what it is. Like, I understand it to be an app that you can use, something like Google, a search engine, and it has a white logo that kind of looks like a circle chain, link chain, and it's something that you can download depending on what type of whether you're using Android or Apple. It's an app.
Okay, so there's AI or artificial intelligence has evolved, right? Alexa is another one we neglected to mention. If you have Alexa, any form of Alexa in your house, that is also artificial intelligence. Um, I come up with a time where there was this cartoon called the Jetsons. You could still probably find it if you search for it. This was 60 years ago. This cartoon was out where they were talking about you can come in your house and talk to somebody like Alexa and tell it to turn on the TV, make you a cup of coffee, turn on the TV, turn on the lights, run the shower. And we're in that day and age now. Somebody thought about it and called it into being. So there's different levels of it. So we got introduced to Alexa, and now just within the last year, I want to say, they took it up a notch where they presented a full fledged introductory version to having access to artificial intelligence to pretty much help you and assist you with various things. Um, for example, help you write a paper. That when it first came out, that was a big thing in colleges. I mean, it became so rampant that the colleges had to come up with a way to detect whether papers was being written by artificial intelligence because the trend, took off. Um, it also for me and my uses, what I do is like I just took the Lord's Prayer. Like I didn't even have to upload it. I just said, give me the Lord's Prayer with a colorful background, and it did that, right? You can upload a picture and it'll make an avatar out of it if you want. There's various things that it could do, and I only have the free version. So I understand. I can't tell you about the paid version, advanced versions, because there's talk of that you can imitate somebody's voice. You can, and people are using to scam other people, like imitate someone's children on the phone and make them think that they're in danger. And you pick up the phone, you actually think that's your grandchild or your child, and they're trying to scam you out some money. These are the advanced versions, but there's various things. So it was an introduction to us with this artificial intelligence that we have a direct link to it to utilize it. And one is Chat GPT, and Google has something called Gemini. Those are the main two that I know of, and there's probably a few more. But I just thought that I didn't want to take you off of your flow, but I want to make sure that we don't completely lose the audience and we explain to anyone watching with this chat, what's this Chat GPT, and I just hope that I gave a little idea of what it is. If you want to add on,
Okay, so I do understand that. But we also have to understand that everybody is receiving this information on different levels too. So it's kind of hard to gauge where people are. That's why it's up to us to fill in the gaps. So if I'm talking to you and you know about something, and I, like, for example, you know all about ChatGPT, you could have just said, for those who might not know, ChatGPT is XYZ ABC 1 2 3. Let's flow together, to help
okay,
everyone, because it's a
okay, that's
different,
already true.
it's a
Yeah,
different audience for, and it makes perfect sense, and you're 100% right. We want to anchor something familiar with ChatGPT. Before, Gemini, ChatGPT was first, and Gemini is a version that Google uses, and that's what most people use, as a matter of fact. If they were to Google something, if they were to look into something right now, you would be using AI, Gemini. There's no more, um to be honest, I'm not sure if Google was always AI, but I know for sure they are. Um,
well, I might just wanted to also point out one more thing. So we both took a class with Senior Planet where we learned how to teach technology to seniors, right?
right.
And then we had a list of different topics we could use as what to teach these seniors, and you chose AI, artificial intelligence, right?
That's right.
Um, which we found that out of all the topics, it got the least attendance. And
Mhm.
so we believe that this fear amongst, older people, aging people about this. And this is, I believe, one of the reasons why you wanted to bring this topic to the surface. And even when we tried to get some of our guests that we usually invite to come on, they were a little skeptical. Even some
Yeah.
people said, "Oh, it's boring." But you was insistent upon bringing this to Reality Speaks TV for those that were curious and that want to listen. So prayerfully, we want to try to. My goal is to try to keep it simple and try to, hopefully, maybe pivot some people, especially Asian people, to at least give it a try. Um,
Yeah.
and I just wanted to share that.
Okay. So, before we go any further, I would like to ground this, something people may not recognize, or maybe something that they can recognize actually. When we say AI, we're not just talking about some distant futuristic idea. A lot of us already have direct access to it. Example, we mentioned ChatGPT, which people use to ask simple questions, write things, get ideas, or learn. And Google has one called Gemini, which does similar things, helping people search, think through ideas, create content, and get answers. There are a few others too, but those are probably the most two well known. Those are the ones that we're mentioning now, and those are the ones that we are actually familiar with. So when we talk about artificial intelligence tonight, we're talking about tools like these, tools that regular, everyday, ordinary people can use and put on their phones or computers. They don't think, they don't have feelings, they don't have wisdom. What they do is learn patterns from huge amounts of information and generate responses, suggestions on content or content based on that. So, yeah, curious. Building from that, I believe we covered the simple terms of AI. What do you think?
So I would like to respond to something that you just said. There's a couple things. When Google, before AI came out, what Google used to do is if you Google something, they would send you somewhere to read what it is that you're looking for. Now with AI, before they said they're still going to send you somewhere to read where you can read it yourself, but AI is going to give you their answer. They're going to give you a specific answer first now, and then send you so where you could do the research yourself. So Google added that extra step. I wanted to add that. Um, I don't know. I just for me, and another thought that I was thinking is that a lot of commercials and a lot of content, when we speak about content, a lot of commercials we see on TV, a lot of the content that we see on social media is AI today, right? And you have developed an eye to detect it, in the ear to detect the difference between a real ad between AI generated ad. Is that correct?
That is correct. Come on. Yeah,
Right.
Carius, that is correct.
Yeah, yes. So what is the difference? How can you tell the AI generated ad if and to the best of your ability? How can you turn or how can you hear it?
That's a real interesting question. And I want to say I don't really know how I know. I just know. It's like one of those instinctive things. And I'm wondering if it's because it wasn't a part of what I learned to be authentic in the last maybe 25 to 30 years. Because when first got introduced to technology in general, we were learned how to make email address. That was the first thing we learned in junior high school. So I read about AI when I was younger, and to see it the way it is today is not what I expected, to be quite honest. So I would think that just being having this innate pattern on how technology, what it sounds like, what things look like. I would like to think that I have a natural eye and a natural ear for it. I have been stumped before, but I haven't been wrong. like
Okay.
like meaning that I have been like, let me look at it a couple of more times. But usually at the beginning I can hear it. It's just like something in the when they're talking, it just sounds robotic to me. I can automatic I don't know, it's just instinctive, I guess.
Hmm. So we have, for transparency, used AI to ask questions to settle arguments, right? About different perspectives. We have used AI to settle relationship issues. I have used AI just recently for law work, for legal work. And the main thing I'm going to say that AI have helped me with, because there's good and bad in everything. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that there's no bad in AI. As long as a human being is going to use this, he's going to use it the way, if he has an evil intent or a manipulative intent, he's trying to get over, then that's how he's going to use AI. If he or she doesn't have a evil intent and he's just trying to do it to benefit themselves, like maybe to enhance his grades in college or to write a paper or write a poem, there's nothing kind of wrong with that. It depends on the intent. So there's good and bad and everything. What it has helped me do is help me with my tone in my writing. I'm a very decent writer. I'm actually published. However, when I write, sometimes if I write a complaint letter or I'm addressing someone, I know I need to watch my tone. I'm not good at doing it myself, but AI, my chat GPT that I use, have mentioned it. Like, would you like me? They don't come right out and say, "Oh, you need to check your tone in this," but they'll ask, "Would you like me to help you with your tone in the letter?" And I love that. And as a result of that, I have learned to address my tone in my writing, messing with this chat GPT, also known as artificial intelligence. So I have benefited from it personally. Now, can I absolutely say that they're not stealing information from me or they not I don't know. I don't know. It's possible. They probably do that when I Google something. They could do that if I go into my docs or my Word and I type up a document and still, we don't know how far, excuse me, pardon me, we don't know how far it's going. It's a very strong possibility that someone, a human being with an evil intent, is doing something. So I'm not going to say don't be cautious and don't have fear, but at the same time, so far, I can say that it has benefited me. That's all I can tell you for a fact.
Yeah, you pretty much said a lot of great things, Jack Harris. I appreciate that. So AI is basically a tool from what we've been speaking about these last 26 minutes that learns from data and patterns that we give it, right? We call them prompts. And that means it's not neutral. It reflects whoever builds it and whoever controls it. Coming back to your saying, it's good and bad and everything, right? And the intent
Right.
on
Hmm.
the person using it.
Hmm.
So AI is changing people's lives in real life, So um, it's changing things like jobs, creativity, media, education, and everyday work for better and for worse. For example, it was a Grammy nominated artist that got millions of views and streams and hit. Come to find out when it's time to get the award, or maybe during the nomination process, they realized that it was an AI artist. So it's actually changing the scope of music too. So that's interesting. What do you
Hmm.
think about like everyday creativity, media, education job, Jack Harris, or even learning about this artist who got nominated for a Grammy, but just so happened to be um, an AI musician?
That's interesting. So we listen. I don't listen too much rap or R&B anymore. Very seldom. I listen to a lot of jazz and gospel music today, and I use YouTube. So YouTube has some jazz stations where they just play continuous jazz, which apparently is AI generated because they're not giving you no artist names or anything like that. And it's so smooth and relaxing. Oh my goodness. It is so smooth. It's called smooth jazz. If you check it out, they're not giving you the artist name or the song name because there's none. It's just AI generating. It just keep flowing and it's just so I love that. It's just, without, and maybe stealing, maybe taking money from actual artists that was earning income from that. Maybe it's taking jobs away from people that want to be artists. We say that AI is taking jobs away from everybody, but who's thinking that it would take music away, from musicians? But apparently it is. So that's what I think about that. We use it in media. You and I, we generate questions sometimes from ChatGPT about certain things because it's able to come up with questions that our minds is not able. We might be a little frustrated. We might be going through, might have a lot of things going on. It's just easy to go. So we need some questions for this topic, and they'll give us very good questions, some excellent questions. So we're using it in media. I can't speak about how the news anchors is doing it on TV or radio. I'm sure they have some way that they're using. I'm only can speak about how I'm using it, for example.
Yeah, so that's going into my next my place, but allow me to transition. So on one
Mhm.
hand, there's speed and efficiency, and on the other hand, there are real life risks like jobs, bias, information, and surveillance. Like, how many times have you overheard me and my AI going back and forth, just like really like, girl, don't you dare. Like, because the misinformation is real. So a part of AI is knowing information already, believe it or not to solely rely on it to give you information. You have to challenge it. Because I feel like I'm well versed just about a lot of things in general. When I ask AI a question and it give me any misinformation, I let it know. So it changes its whole shift when it's interfacing with me. Now, I don't know how it would be with other participants, but for me, I partake in the paid version of it because, like you said, we use it for creativity. I use it for work. I use it to help with this podcast. So I want things to be as accurate as possible. So I challenge it. So I want to ask you, just out of curiosity, when the first time you heard me going back and forth with it, what did you think? Did you think that that would help?
It doesn't surprise me because I've also gone back and forth with it, and you've witnessed it as well, right? Not so much back and forth, but like you ask one question and leads to another, and then another and another, right? Um, and sometimes you have to dig. It's sometimes it's about asking the right question for the answer that you're looking for.
That's right.
So you might ask a general question thinking you're gonna get the answer, and it's not detailed enough, so you have to go back and then give a few more details and be a little more specific. And it might take 2 or 3 times depending on the subject and the topic. But
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes, and even and they make mistakes. There's no if and when people say they're not perfect, you definitely have to double check them. You've listened to me ask questions, religious questions, specifically religious questions, and they left stuff out. And I said, well, what about this? And I'm like, how could you leave this out? Oh yeah, and that you know,
Yeah.
so yeah, so they're not. It's not perfect. Not even though it's artificial intelligence, it's definitely not perfect. It makes mistakes, so you have to watch it. And this writing, sometimes if you ask them to duplicate something, so say if you want them to make a poster for you, or you could even upload stuff from your photos. You could take a picture and upload it. There's various ways. Or you could just say, listen, could you make a flyer with me with this person's name on and just give them a picture? And I want clouds in the background. And they'll bring it. So now you look and you say, no, I need you to change this, put that in black. So when they come back the second time, there might be some words misspelled or something. So it's not perfect. You have to read everything carefully. So no, you misspelled the word. And then if you have the free version, it's oh, you ran out of uploads. You got to wait 24 hours. You got to wait till tomorrow. You don't have to worry. That's what I have to deal with because I have the free version. But that's just a few ideas
Yeah,
there
and
for through
it's
my children.
everywhere. Even
Mhm.
in the Yakari's, the StreamYard platform we're using right now, they came up with AI clips. To help. They realized the power in clips. They realized that the power in being able to put that together, and they have it where they generate AI clips now, right here. So it's like we can't get away with it. But my question is, who has the power? We touched on it. Pretty much you touched on it, Yakari's. That brings me to this question: who actually benefits the most from AI right now? And who might be getting left behind or harmed by these systems? I believe you just answered that question in a way. But did you want to add anything else before I say the reason why um, I feel powerful when I use it? Because you said something about like putting your picture up there and the words being blurred, right? So recently, I don't know if you saw on social media, like everyone was putting up their face with their jobs and their careers, and they had like pitch like what they do. So if you're a sales agent, they had like a sales book behind you and you at a desk. So for example, your sweater saying Syracuse, if you put yourself up there, maybe the shirt might say leave out the S and leave out the E. But it pretty much is giving you that. So I just wanted to know before I moved on, who might be getting left behind or harmed by these systems from your perspective. I mean, oh, okay. So he's gonna come back. Everybody, thank you for watching. While we're waiting for your carries, I wanted to get to the next shape of the question. Okay. Stay right with us. Be right back. You there?
Sorry,
Can you
I'm
hear
here.
me okay?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I told everyone.
Sorry.
I told everyone that you'll be right back.
Thank you. Little human malfunction. We talk about AI, I just had a human malfunction. Sorry, guys. I'm back. Please forgive me, excuse me, because I felt like we had a little flow going.
Okay, so I'm just gonna. We have a comment. Thank you so much for watching from YouTube, Janine
Okay.
Harvey. She says, "I'm actually learning to adjust my tone in everyday conversation based on the words suggested by AI."
Mm,
Wow, that goes right into what you were saying, y'all carriers.
yes, yes, yes. Actually, Janine is one of the people that I've helped with technology. It started in church. She was one of the few, 3 or 4 people that came to one of the technology classes. So she is definitely trying to step her game up with it, and I applaud that. I applaud anyone that's not afraid to try. Especially aging people, us seniors. We have a lot of fear. Fear is what's keeping us from doing this, basically. And I would like to continue this. I would like to see some younger people on the panel down the road, some mixed views, because we're pretty much proponents for it. I would like to hear some naysayers so we could, get some different points of view. I would like to maybe have a part two at the very least. I don't know how you feel about that, but I would like to have a more diverse group, not someone, and I'm trying to be as fair as possible. I just haven't found a reason not to use it yet, myself personally.
Yeah. So hold on a second.
Okay. So anyway, I think she has someone in the background.
So you said that you wanted to give an applause. That's what I was looking for. I'm looking for this.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
Thank you, thank
All
you.
right. So moving right along, I wanted to mention some thank you for people who's watching for keep the comments coming and suggestions. And if you don't be shy, because this is the opportunity we here for you right now. And we're going as we're learning and we're learning as we're going. So
Hmm.
thank you for Janine and Heather for watching and on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So I just wanted to offer some big benefits of AI for someone with a neurodivergent mind. So those are people with ADHD, autism, dyslexia, PTSD, bipolar, etc. Those are neurodivergent mind. Okay. So it helps organize thoughts when the mind feels scattered. Many neurodivergent people think in bursts, not in straight lines. So it's have great ideas, but we have great ideas, but having trouble structuring them. It gets overwhelmed when we get overwhelmed, turning thoughts into plans, emails, or posts. AI can turn messy notes into clear paragraphs, help outline ideas, break big thoughts into steps, help you translate what's in your head into what's unusable. Thinking of it like thinking a thinking assistant, not a replacement for your brain. So I just wanted to share this because it's very important for me. I feel like it is a breakthrough for people who would not have not neurodivergent minds, which is a lot of us, who are actually diagnosed. So can you imagine the people who are living with neurodivergent minds but don't know it because they haven't got evaluated? So the second thing that AI does It supports executive function like planning, focus, and follow through. So if you struggle with starting tasks, if you struggle with remembering steps, breaking things down into smaller pieces, or having time blindness, or just feeling overwhelmed in general, AI can help you with that. It can help break tasks into steps. It can complete simple plans, rewrite instructions in plain language, and it can even write it to you on a second grade level, fourth grade level, fifth grade level. It is dynamic. It helps you prioritize what to do first, second, and third. So when you're neurodivergent, it can help reduce the mental load that can cause shutdown or avoidance. Like we mentioned earlier, Yakarius and I, it helps with reading, writing, and communication. So for people with dyslexia, ADHD, or processing things differently, anxiety about writing or explaining things, AI can help you rewrite things more clearly, summarize long text, help draft emails, posts, scripts, and letters, and help you say what you mean when words get stuck. You can still provide the ideas and voice, and it can help you shape your ideas. And for our creative people, for neurodivergent people who are usually creative minds, is many neurodivergent people are highly creative, visually or conceptually gifted, but get burned out when it comes to details or execution. So AI can help you brainstorm, generate starting points, help you define ideas, reduce friction between idea and creation, and reduce overwhelm, decision, and fatigue. It offers support without judgment, and AI is a tool, not a therapist, is a support and not a replacement for human care, and is best used assisted, not to control your life decisions. So use well. It's like a ramp where it can only be stairs. I like to tell Kamal all the time, people with a neurodivergent mind, we don't have a wheelchair for our mind. So AI can be used as a ramp for people with our mindset. And AI can act like a second brain. It can help us organize thoughts, reduce being overwhelmed, and turn ideas into action without judgment. And that is all I wanted to share about who can benefit from AI. Um, if you wanted to say something,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
digress.
There's a couple of things. So, it's the first time I went TikTok live. So let me say to the audience and there's people that want to join everything. We're on Reality Speaks TV. Reality Speaks TV. And you could come and watch the whole show now, either on YouTube or Facebook. We have pages on both. For those that's on TikTok, if you want to follow us there, we're still live there right now. That's the first thing I want to say. But I have to ask you, what is a neurodivergent mind? The audience don't. That sounds like someone that's really, really smart. Like, does he have a PhD? What is like? He's like super. What is? What is that?
I like that you said that. What is it like super? Because I honestly, so finding out that I have a neurodivergent mind, I have to be honest, is new language for me as well. But when I
Okay.
actually researched it, it's funny that you say that. It's like a superhero, right? Like you get that superhero mind. But in plain terms, a neurodivergent mind is a brain that works differently. Is what society calls, from what society calls typical. Neurodivergent, it doesn't mean broken, it doesn't mean less, it just means that we have different wiring, you know. So neurodivergent is an umbrella term, and include people with things like ADHD, which is attention deficit hypertension disorder, autism, dyslexia, PTSD, which is post traumatic stress disorder,
Mm-hmm.
bipolar disorder,
Okay.
Tourette's, Tourette's,
Mm-hmm.
and other neurological or mental differences. The
Okay.
opposite term you might hear is neurotypical, which just means a brain that fits most common patterns, and society expressions. So, what does different wiring actually mean? A neurodivergent person can think faster or slower in certain areas and have a very strong creativity or pattern recognition. So, a neurodivergent mind might struggle more with focus, organization, or memory, but very sensitive to sound, light, emotions, or stress. So, think in pictures, feelings, or connections instead of straight lines. Have deep focus on certain interests and can be hyper focused on things, and trouble with others. So one thing might be so simple for them, but something so simple might be so challenging for them at the same time. They process emotion, stress, or information more intensely or differently. And so it's not about being smart or not smart. It's about how the brain processes information. So
Okay.
neurodivergent minds often come with real strengths like creativity, heightened intuition, big picture thinking, empathy, pattern spotting, original ideas, deep focus on what matters to them. But they can also come with real challenges, especially in a world built for neurotypical brains, like school systems, jobs, schedules, and social expectations. So, a simple way to think about it is if neurotypical brains are like window computers, neurodivergent brains might be like Macs or Linux or custom built systems, like pretty much different motherboards or different operating systems. Same value, different strengths, and different needs. And I'll land the plane with this. A neurodivergent mind is a brain that works differently from what society calls typical. Not broken, not wired differently, excuse me, not broken, just wired differently with its own strengths and challenges. Thank you for asking that question, yeah, Carius.
So, basically, we're talking about people that experience mental health issues. If I put it in the simplest terms, right? And it talks and is given the mind a certain label, neurodivergent, right? So, um, I think not this. I just have to mention this because you went in a little bit, and we don't want to make this a mental health show, but we've had a series of mental health shows starting back from December because of winter blues, holiday depression, and so forth, and we was concerned, and we began to open up some doors about mental health, and we still kind of like are very much studying it from a novice point of view. What I'm learning though is that I think the average person, even if they haven't been diagnosed with any of the disorders that you mentioned, we can still experience a neurodivergent mind simply due being super frustrated, super stressed. Because with being super frustrated, super stressed, or having a bunch of anxiety can interrupt our mental flow. It takes us out of our normal way of thinking, and it's now we're running on. We're trying to think with being super emotional or super stressed out or super, and there's no clear thinking in that. So that could be. I'm not a psychologist. I'm just saying what I've experienced myself. I know the difference in myself when I'm stressed and frustrated and trying to solve a problem or do something, cook simple, clean. It's just different than when I'm relaxed and I don't have nothing stressing me in the way I'm cooking and moving. It's like night and day. And so for someone that haven't been diagnosed, think I should be with some things. When I am stressed and frustrated and even reach, a little bit of anxiety in there, I feel like I have a taste of that neurodivergent mind that we're talking about. I think there's layers to it. I could be wrong. We need to do the research, but I am doing everything in my power not to experience this frustration, anxiety, and stress because it's not healthy on top of what it does to my psychic. You know, it doesn't allow me to think clearly. So I don't know if that made any sense to you.
Yes, it actually did make sense. And
Hmm.
I think that all of those things vary and it should be done on a case by case built basis. But and then when you said that, some of us or all of us might have a case of that and might not be diagnosed, or you identify with that neurodivergence, and that's exactly what it could be. It could just be, in that moment. And then you also said, you said something about mental health issues. I'm not sure if it's an issue. I think it's more of a challenge. And then the reason why it's a challenge is because the world is ran with a neurotypical system. So it's like, it's not a it's like cookie cutter when it should be more of optional. So it's kind of tough that way to adjust, I would think. But that's what these conversations are for. I think that's why I'm grateful for platforms like this one. So I just wanted to share this post, because I'm also sharing in real time as I moderate. I wanted to talk to the comment here
Mm.
that says, is there a process pattern to excuse me, is there a process pattern typically to knowledge or feeling? And that's from Janine Harvey watching from YouTube. I think that's a great question. And it's actually a really human one. So I think the answer, it can be both. I would like to think that is both, a knowledge or a feeling. Because if someone's process and pattern based on knowledge or feeling, some people process the world through knowledge and information. It's kind of like the conversation that we were having about perception and perception. How you see something from your level of perception is pretty much how it's gonna rule the outcome for you. So neurodivergent processing, we think in facts, steps, logic, and structure, rather than feeling or emotion at times. So things like definitions, explanations, and clear systems, they often ask, does this make sense? I'm always asking, yeah, Carrie, does this make sense to you? The first instinct is to analyze. Some people process the world through feeling. They think in emotions, intuition, energy, and experience. They often ask, how does this feel? Or what does this mean to me? Their first instinct is to sense or feel before they analyze. And many people are a mix of both. I believe I am. I believe I'm a mix of both. Just one side being stronger. So for neurodivergent minds, especially, a neurodivergent mind might lean very strongly into logic and patterns. So we deal with knowledge first, logic first. We lean very strongly into emotion, intuition, and sensory, um, as a feeling, but we switch between the two depending on the stress and the topic and the severity of the situation. Neither one of them are better. They're just different ways of making. So it's just different ways of making sense of the world. So some people, in short, I'm gonna land a plane. Some people process life more through knowledge, facts, and structure. Others process more through feeling, emotion, and intuition, depending on of our experience. Most of us are a mix, but we usually lean one way more than the other. So what matters isn't just which one we use, is understanding how you process, or how we process, so we can work with the brain instead of fighting the brain. So Janine, if you're still watching on YouTube, do you usually understand something first by thinking it through, or feeling your way through it? And that's also for other people who are watching as well. Do you usually understand something first by thinking it through, or by feeling your way through it? Okay, and
Okay.
good talking.
Okay. This is good talking. Thank you. All right.
Okay, you're welcome. All right, so we pretty much
I just have
yeah,
one more comment before you go. All right.
sure.
So I went to ChatGPT. Well, and I wanted to ask a question. And the question is emotionality neurodivergent? Because in my mind, I think it is. And this is not 100%, but their answer, short answer, emotionality itself is not neurodivergent. But differences in how emotions are experienced or regulated can be part of some neurodivergent conditions. So it's touching upon it. So, in other words, that monkey mind that we talk about, right? I think that a person that have experienced a lot of trauma in their life, and we all have some traumatic based situations in our life, and we may not even be aware of it. Some of it is generational. Some of it from our ancestors. We don't even realize the trauma that we're carrying as a people, right? And if that trauma creates an emotional response to you each and every time, we have some people that's extremely emotional. They loud when they talk, they get emotional. That could kind of even be connected to a neurodivergent mind that they have and don't even know. Because many of us don't even go and get diagnosed. We don't even know what's wrong with us. We don't even know. We're not going to therapists. I don't see nobody, nothing wrong with me, but you acting like a fool. You like killing people. You shooting guns at your own people, killing kids. There's something wrong going on in this society. We rolling up in the stores and killing 50 people. We're going into schools and churches and murdering people. There's something wrong there. There's some conditions in our mental health that's causing this. This is not normal behavior. Could be out of hate, emotions. Hate is an emotion, right? Could be for religious reasons, could be for racial reasons. So I just wanted to add that I think that our emotionalism, I'm trying to check mine real hard. Um because I see the danger in it. I really do. And I just want to add that real quick.
Okay. So Janine says she likes to think it through.
Okay.
All right. So did you have anything else that you wanted to?
No, I think we should just try to do a part two. I think we should look out, check our page, Reality Speaks TV on YouTube and Facebook. Those are the main two. I think it's on LinkedIn as well. We go
Yes.
live sometimes on TikTok, but most of our content is there. My name is Kamal Fardan. I'm also known as Yacarius. You can see some stuff on my page. I have a couple things going on according to Yacarius. I have some strong opinions. I'm into health and wellness right now, physically and mental, and that's what most of my posts is about, how we can address ourselves with our health and our wellness. I'm a certified personal trainer. I'm a senior and I'm into this health. So if you into that, it's not too late. I don't care how old you are. It's not too early. I don't care how young you are. Come visit my page, Sparkle Anthony. I'm good with that.
Okay, awesome. And
Right.
I'm over here on Sparkle Unlimited on TikTok. Don't stop. And on Sparkle Unlimited on Facebook, Sparkle Denise Anthony. But I really want you to catch up with me on Reality Speaks TV because it's all about the reality. Real people, real talk in real time. That's our slogan here. So I'm just gonna bring us home and say thank you all for spending this time with us here on Reality Speaks TV.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you to my co-host, Yacarius.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight wasn't about hype or it wasn't about fear. It was about understanding, impact, and staying human in a world that's changing fast. If there's one thing we hope you take with you, is this: the future doesn't happen to us, we help shape it. AI is a tool, but human values decide how it is used. So stay curious, stay thoughtful, stay compassionate, and most of all, stay human.
Like that.
If this conversation meant something to you, please like, share, come back, subscribe to it. Your voice matters here, and we'll keep creating space for real conversations. Like Yakarius, when we were creating this platform, he said that this should be our virtual community center, and pretty much this is what it manifested itself to be. So, like Yakarius mentioned before, we will be having a part two. We reached out to Sophia Stewart, who is the creator of the Terminator and Matrix films. And happy Black History Month, Yakarius, by the way.
Same
Um,
to you.
we are Black History, right? Our story
Right.
is Black History.
Our stories
Um,
are our history. Yep.
our stories, our history. So I just wanted to mention those things we got coming up on our next show. We have some women for Women's History Month being interviewed, and we do have someone else being interviewed before the closing of this February. So stay tuned in. We have a lot of great things lined up for you. And shout out to the 10,000 plus listeners. We see you. So until next time, we'll be right here next time on Reality Speaks TV. Take care of yourself. Stay tuned in to Real People, Real Talk, and Real Time.
Peace.